Hi everyone, this is my video about what's wrong with Deadpool. It was going to be what's wrong with Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, and Dark Phoenix. And then I recorded that and it was 30 minutes, so I started editing it and then I accidentally deleted it all. So it wasn't that great. It just basically, Days of Future Past was better than I remembered it, although I liked it when I saw it in theaters. Apocalypse was exactly the same. And Dark Phoenix Saga is legitimately awful. I was thinking maybe the negative reaction to it at the time affected my experience, but basically nobody's talked about that movie in 3 or 4 years. And I just watched it and it was terrible. So anyway, I'm working my way through all of the 20th Century Fox X-Men movies, which includes Deadpool and Wolverine. Although Disney Plus doesn't have all of them, so I'm kind of skipping around. So I just watched Deadpool right now, which I did see in theaters. And I've got to say, especially in comics, but also in comic book movies, I feel like there is a lot of misremembering things and learning the wrong lessons. Because I remember Deadpool being very good. I remember really enjoying it. I saw it in an absolutely packed theater. I remember feeling like I was wearing the person in the row behind me like a backpack because they were very tall and their knees were basically right at my ears. I think I've seen it maybe once or twice since then. But I remembered it being joke, 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 and all of them hitting. And I just watched a movie that is a very solid movie that has comedy as part of it. But it was excellent. It was way better than I remember it being. And I remember liking it just fine. So I think everyone knows that Ryan Reynolds played Deadpool in Wolverine Origin, but it was a completely terrible adaptation. And then a few years later, this special effects guy, Tim Miller, and him made this teaser to try to get funding. And then they didn't get funding. And then a few years later, the trailer was leaked by, I guess, Ryan Reynolds. Great reaction online. They got funding. It was relatively cheap. It was like a $75 million movie. It literally 10x'd $750 million in theaters. And then it got a sequel that everyone is basically meh about. But I believe they're about to start shooting a Wolverine Deadpool movie, and I'm excited about that. So anyway, I was actually shocked because I've talked so many times how I absolutely hate the Phase 4 MCU. I can't watch these movies. They have a terrible trash sitcom joke every 20 seconds. Joke, 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 joke. And the hit rate on the jokes is incredibly low. But I just watched Deadpool, who's basically superhero Bugs Bunny. And there was real emotion, there was real heart, there was real drama. I was invested in Wade and Vanessa's relationship. Also, I've got to say that the way Deadpool gets his superpowers, to me, is like the most realistic way. After he finds out he has cancer, he volunteers for this lab where they basically stress the hell out of the body with the idea that if you do have a dormant mutant gene, that dormant mutant gene will activate to save your life. So he essentially gets waterboarded in this canister, and that's what unlocks his superpower, which is healing. But I'm almost kind of speechless in how to review this. Everything was excellent. The acting was excellent, the writing was excellent, the stunt work especially was excellent. It was a lot of real practical stunts, a lot of stuntmen just tumbling down actual environments. And even when they went all or mostly digital, like with Colossus, it looks great. It's so much fun. So all I can say is literally everything is good. I think there was like 1 or 2 jokes that didn't land. And then they didn't make a big deal about it. They just kind of continued with the scene. They didn't say, oh, that joke didn't work. Here's 10 more in the next 3 minutes. It was like they were walking into a strip club to find Vanessa. And it was like, do you remember that old gag from the 1990s? It was like, is there a word for hungry and angry at the same time? I think it's hangry. They did something like that. And I was like, oh, that's kind of like an old style of humor. But it was just like that one joke didn't land, and then they just continued with it. I mean, everything looks good. Even Deadpool's suit looks amazing. So I don't even know if this really qualifies as a review, except for to say, if you liked the movie when you saw it, go rewatch it. Especially compared to modern superhero movies, especially the MCU movies. Oh my God. I just found out that in the next Captain America movie that doesn't even have Steve Rogers in it, the Falcon is Captain America now, that's how they're going to introduce mutants into the MCU. And I'm like, oh, jeez, just don't. X-Men and the whole X-Men lore is so rich. I do not need Hugh Jackman at the age of 55 making trash sitcom quips with Tom Holland twink Spider-Man. Like, I don't want that. I don't want that. So just to reiterate, literally everything about this movie was excellent. There's just a couple little quibbles. Like I said, there was like one joke that was like, oh, that was not funny. And then there's another thing, and I've always noticed this from like Hellboy, Blade 2. If you're going to do a lot of stunts, really good stunts with actual people, you've kind of established the way that the character works. So you had Ron Perlman dressed as Hellboy, and he moved in kind of a lumbering fashion, but fairly fluid. And then all of a sudden, in a fight scene, they would replace Hellboy with a digital Hellboy who would move much faster in a different way. This was really egregiously done in this one fight scene in Blade 2, where it's just, everything's different. Just don't do that. Like, make it consistent. Even if Deadpool can't suddenly jump 20 feet, it doesn't even look good. Just have him jump 5 feet. But I'm really just shocked at how good of a movie this was. And not just good for a superhero movie, or good compared to modern shitty MCU movies. Like, this is good as a movie. I think that's why it did so well. Because the X-Men movies didn't do this well. The Wolverine didn't do this well. You could show this to a normie and they totally got it. It was a unique, quirky popcorn movie. And weirdly enough, the director, he did this. This was his first movie. He did this at the age of like 51. He did Terminator Dark Fate, which sucked. And then he never directed again. And the other weird thing is it's like the same writers for this movie and Deadpool 2, but this one much better than Deadpool 2. So I don't know what's going on with this series, but I know that Deadpool is essentially a perfect movie. The way I describe perfect for movies is, what did you intend to do? How close did you come to that? So like Ghostbusters, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Star Wars A New Hope, and Deadpool. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.